Hey, what's happening YouTube? My name's Gray, you're tuned in to Consoletronix, where today I celebrate what was the last hurrah for a company whose name once stood for innovation and quality. Atari. Before the release of their final system, the underpowered laughingstock of the 32-bit era, the Jaguar, whose poor sales and even poorer selection of games sealed the company's fate. So join me as I count down the 10 best titles you need to play on their technically impressive but poorly marketed rival handheld to Nintendo's Game Boy, the Atari Lynx. Once upon a time, every system launch had to be accompanied by a strong shoot-'em-up title to cater for gamers' desires to blaze a trail of cosmic death throughout the galaxy. Gates of Zendocon was this title for new Lynx owners, and while it hasn't aged particularly well, it still does the job, as you blast eyeballs and alien architecture on your way to saving the universe. Some of you might be surprised to see this game in the list. The other 99% of you will probably never have heard of it. But despite its simplistic nature, it's a game I've always found myself coming back to. It's just so much bloody good fun as you gun down hippies setting themselves on fire and charging at you to extras from the Warriors. Not a great game, but enjoyable stuff. Another shoot-'em-up, but this one comes to us from finer stock. It's a port of the Seibu Kaihatsu arcade classic, Raiden, and they did a very good job of squeezing the game onto Atari's handheld. Obviously not arcade perfect, but if you own a Lynx and have an itchy trigger finger, you could do a hell of a lot worse than this. Another shoot-'em-up port, but hey, I'm not complaining. This time the Gulf War themed helicopter-based shooter goes small screen after appearing on damn near everything else, and comes closer than you'd imagine to recapturing the magic of the Mega Drive original. A lot of fuss was made over this semi-3D futuristic maze shooter when first released to arcades in the 1980s, but it's probably best remembered today as one of the games that really showed the hardware capabilities of the Lynx. Lots of challenge and some nice touches easily makes this the standout home port and a must-own Lynx title. Before we get to the top 5, I thought a quick look at a few of the titles that just failed to muscle their way onto the list, but are also worthy for consideration in any self-respecting Lynx owner's collection. Probably a little unlucky not to make the main list, as I know a lot of Lynx owners rate this primate platformer quite highly, but if it's any consolation, I don't think the Mega Drive version is much cop either. This should have been a killer app for the system, but they cocked it up. Big time. Not a bad game, just too needlessly bloody difficult to really warrant a place in the top 10. A real shame. In its day, one of the most famous video game franchises outside the Nintendo stable, the Lynx version lives up to the arcade original standard, much more so than many other home ports I could mention. Cough cough, Commodore 64, cough cough. My first introduction to this series was with the excellent PS2 follow-up, Rygar the Legendary Adventure, and this was my first time playing the original, but I must admit, I enjoyed it. It's basic at best, but fun enough to sink a few hours into. For many years, Nintendo NES owners believed they had the monopoly on this game, but in true ninja fashion it was in league with the enemy, popping up on various computer systems as Shadow Warriors and even appearing exclusively in Europe on the Master System. The Lynx port is an excellent conversion of the Tecmo arcade. The first time you play this game, you won't know what you're doing or what's going on, but if you stick with it, you'll discover one of the best fast-paced racer-shooter hybrids on the Lynx and beyond. Fantastic game. Yet another Atari arcade port, and once again a driving shooter combo that shows had Atari managed to court some of the better third-party developers to the Lynx, it may have given the Game Boy a genuine run for its money. Sadly, we're left wondering what might have been, but at least it was home to some truly great games, and Road Blasters is easily one of the very best. When I bought my first Lynx back in the late 1990s with a bunch of games, I dismissed this based on its title alone as a silly puzzle game. When I did try it, I became instantly hooked. It's a very ugly looking game, but it's got what counts: heart. A blinding game that deserves more recognition outside of its niche Lynx fanbase. And can you guess what made the #1 spot? I think some of you can. It is, of course, Todd's Adventures in Slime World. Another stupid title that probably turned a lot of people off, but like Chip's Challenge, this is a hugely underrated, huge game. It's an amazing achievement to have created such a game on an equally underrated system. But whether you owned a Lynx back in the 90s or are looking to collect for one now, make sure this game is in your collection. So folks, we've come to the end of the video, and I must say I enjoyed making this one. The Atari Lynx was such a capable machine, but was never taken seriously when placed alongside either the Game Boy or Sega's Game Gear. But at least its reputation has over the years been elevated from a joke of a system to a respected gaming platform with some superb titles that still hold up today. So my name's Gray, you've been watching Consoletronix, more videos coming your way soon, so please like, share, subscribe and let me know your thoughts on Atari's handheld in the comment section down below. So thank you very much for watching, and until the next time, goodbye.